To do here now is explain to you what has happened over the last approximately 8 weeks since the coronavirus struck. We filmed a little bit of our adventures in isolation, but everything's been a bit crazy, and now all of a sudden we're in Darwin, we're in a hotel, and we're in quarantine. So this really strange video is just going to try and bring everybody up to date on what's going on, and we will resume our Japan series, as I said before, after this 2-week quarantine period. Just because I found that a lot of people on Instagram and Facebook have been really interested in how this hotel quarantine thing works and how you can travel interstate during COVID-19. So we're going to try and bring you a bit of that information now. So I'm going to throw it back to about 7 weeks ago, just after our East Coast trip had been cancelled due to coronavirus, and we had come home and we're now living at Mum and Dad's place in Melbourne again, which is where we have been since we got home from Japan. So Kierran behind me, who is working away in the background, could play cricket, and we got a couple of jobs to make some money because, you know, money doesn't grow on trees or from YouTube videos apparently. So for us, coronavirus isolation at home at Mum and Dad's basically meant just getting a whole heap of work done. We spent a pretty nice Mother's Day and Easter with my whole family, which has been cool. It's been nice to spend some really good quality time with my family and my puppy dog. And we've also been learning some new skills, keeping fit in really crazy ways, and I've just been knitting and sewing like non-stop. It's been alright. Honestly, it really hasn't been that awful.
One way to fucking laugh at it.
I think that was good though.
I think it was good.
I just like that they were both playing screens and I'm like, oh, I'm working so hard.
I do that normally, I'm watching it.
This is what 7 weeks of not washing my hair looks like. Someone told me that if you don't wash your hair for like 3 months, you then don't have to wash your hair very regularly once you resume washing your hair. I'm so not convinced of that. Okay, so when you guys last saw us, we were in Buchan and we had just left for our massive East Coast trip. We were planning on leaving Melbourne and heading up the East Coast and then heading to Darwin so Kierran can play another cricket season with the Crocs, which we were super excited about. Very. And I had meticulously planned this trip so well, and I had so many cool things planned for you guys. But unfortunately, coronavirus has struck, and we have now been in my parents' place on the freezing cold Mornington Peninsula in Melbourne for 7 weeks. But we wanted to put together a little video for you guys to show you all the things we have been up to in the last 7 weeks. Honestly, most of it has been work. A lot of work, and we were saying before that it's actually been great to sort of slow down and sort of catch up because we've had a lot of content out there still yet to be completed. But I still can't believe the last thing we filmed was Japan. Like, that is so depressing. Yeah. Apart from Buchan, the last thing we filmed was Japan. So when we come back to you after this video, we're not quite sure where we're gonna be, but we haven't filmed anything in such a long time, so we thought we'd put together this kooky little video of the greatest / only things that are keeping us sane in our 7-week isolation. Just, I don't know, so we can remember this moment years and years down the track. We'll be telling our kids how we survived the great pandemic. How did we ever survive 7 weeks in isolation? With your loved ones. Doesn't it feel like 7 months though, mate? With your loved ones, every day. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. Day 7 of isolation, and Hang came to me with an idea to create a contraption, which was to put herself in a pool where she can do freestyle, fixed. It's so good, but it has to be stretchy.
Has to be stretchy?
It's so hard on the upper body.
Alright, show us how it's done.
It's a belter. What do you reckon?
2 pegs and a bit of rope.
Probably do backstroke too.
Go on then.
Okay, we have to go to Bunnings.
You have to go to Bunnings?
That would be perfect with bouncy string.
Yeah?
Yeah. Are you gonna have a go?
No.
One thing Kieran really wanted to do in isolation was learn how to cook. So I challenged him to a cupcake bake-off. However, I've lost the footage that I filmed introducing this little challenge, so just enjoy this sweet, sweet montage of us baking cupcakes.
Two for you?
These are what mine ended up like. Red velvet, vote red velvet.
Vote red velvet or vote vanilla custard.
Alright, you ready?
Alright.
These cupcakes actually turned out 100 times better than either of us expected them to turn out, and you guys thought so too, with my cupcakes winning by 53% to Kieran's 47%. That's pretty good, I reckon. So one thing that is vitally important in your isolation self-care routine is making sure that you actually do some self-care to stop yourself from going insane. I haven't plucked my eyebrows in about 7 weeks or shaved my luscious legs in about 4 weeks. That is legit so gross. I don't think I've ever grown my leg hairs this long. Like, oh my god. How have you been putting up with me lately, man?
I don't know, just don't touch your legs.
Bomb, absolute bomb. Good morning.
Good morning.
What is the good news that we have had over the weekend? It's now Monday morning. I think we last spoke to you guys on like Friday.
Yeah, great news is cricket's back on and we're heading to the Northern Territory on Monday.
Nice.
It's exciting, but it's also scary at the same time.
Pretty nerve-wracking, eh?
Yeah.
We are applying for exemption, so what's going to happen on Monday is we'll fly out. We've got to catch 2 flights, one to Brisbane and one to Darwin. And then once we get to Darwin, the border force is basically going to make a decision on whether we have to go into hotel quarantine. Because Kieran's going up there to play cricket, that's our only means of income currently. So we're applying for exemption so we can quarantine in our little home in Kierran, which would be so much nicer and so much cheaper because the hotel quarantine's like $1,200 per person, which is just bonkers. But anyway, it's like a whole process. I'm having to fill out all of these crazy application forms and write up full-on management plans of how we're going to live and how we're going to survive for 14 days in our own little bungalow. And I'm pretty sure they're going to get to the border and be like, nah man, that's not a good enough excuse. You're going into the hotel, which will be fine. I just wish it wasn't going to cost us so much money. We've got so much to get ready this week before Monday. So we've got 1 week counting down from now. Our flight's at literally this time next week. Literally this time next week. Okay, so that's everything that we've been doing in isolation. Finding out that we were heading to Darwin gave us exactly 1 week to get our entire lives completely packed up and put in bags and ready to fly interstate for 6 months. So the plan is basically the same as last year, except we have to fly. This whole like packing for 6 months and putting it on an airplane thing was super nerve-wracking for me. Kierran and I both really travel minimalistically. We don't take a lot of stuff. It's usually like 1 suitcase between the two of us and then like all our camera gear, which is a lot. So I was like panicking a little bit, and it ended up being like a whole bag of knitting, crocheting and chocolate, and then like half a bag of clothes. It was just bizarre. I never would recommend traveling interstate to live via airplane. So then on Monday morning, after we'd got ourselves all organized, we were up at 6 a.m. to head to the airport for a 10:10 flight. So during all this coronavirus stuff, basically you can get domestic flights around Australia on Mondays and Wednesdays, and it's almost always non-direct. So we had to go to Brisbane and then Melbourne. And as I said, my wonderful dad drove us to the airport again. Thank you, Tim's Airport Transfers. And it was quite crazy traveling to the airport. Usually it takes us about 2 hours if there's no truck crashes on the Monash. But this is probably the only time in our lives we'll ever take an hour and 15 minutes to get to the airport. So coronavirus has kind of sucked, but for some things it's been great. This is also probably the only time in our lives that we'll ever see the airport this empty. Like, it was eerily quiet. There was basically no one else except a few travellers and a couple of workers. And I don't think we're ever going to see anything like again in our lives.
So as you guys imagine, the whole international airport
Melbourne International
is bloody quiet.
It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
I could get around this like all of the time.
Like nobody lining up to get in. No.
What you can see here is actually Melbourne International departures. So this place is usually just crawling with people waiting for flights. And on the Monday we were there, which was yesterday, there was only 2 flights going out, one to Doha and one to somewhere in China. Basically that's just to like repatriate people to their home countries or to bring them back into Australia. That's all the flights that are going out at the moment.
Please explain why you're walking backwards and forwards.
I'm in a step challenge with mum to encourage mum to like walk more, and we've got to do 50,000 steps before next Sunday, which is like a sort of easy beginning, and I set it as Han's isolation step challenge. So I'll be in isolation and I'm gonna have to do 50,000 steps, whereas she's not, and she can use the park and get her steps up. And at the moment she's 503 steps in front of me. From Melbourne we flew to Brisbane, and that plane was quite big, but it was exactly half full. So I assume it would have been a fully booked flight for these times, but social distancing laws mean that we all had to have 2 seats, so there was always a vacant seat next to us or an aisle. So Kierran and I were in the centre of the plane, and it was like me, spare seat, him, which was quite good because we can spread out and all of that stuff. However, there was no meals, no in-flight entertainment, so no movies and things like that, and they just served like little bottles of water and snacks basically, like it was only a 2-hour flight. At Brisbane Airport we were greeted by the army. This footage is a little bit sketchy because I didn't know if I was supposed to be filming, but I just wanted to show you guys what it has been like flying domestically during this insane time. There was army blokes, there was police, and then the SES were directing us into a line where the police would check all of our details and make sure we were here for the right reasons. Have you got your ID yet? Yeah. Has anybody got a you take these?
No, I don't, but I'll take you through shortly.
It's a domestic connection, not an international.
Yeah. Yep, so you and you two come with me. Yep.
Have you had a look at their form?
Yeah.
Oh,
She has.
Yeah, she hasn't. Yeah, sorry. What time did you fly?
2, 3 o'clock, I think, to Darwin.
3. Oh no, you got plenty of time.
Back in line?
Yeah,
amazing.
sorry.
Yeah, that's alright. Thanks.
Yeah.
So then that basically brought us to right here, right now. We got to Darwin Airport at 7 o'clock last night and then stood in lines for what felt like ever to be processed. They flew us into Darwin International instead of Darwin Domestic, which meant we go through the passport control place where you like scan your passports, except the police have kind of taken over that area and have set up a border control where we had to come up with forms we filled out on the airplane to say why we're here, how long we're going to be here, where we're going to live, whether we were exempt from isolation. And we have applied to be exempt from isolation because we do have a residence in Darwin, which is where we stay when we live here with our amazing friends Tim and Belinda and their kids. But unfortunately they just said, no, you need to go to the hotel and quarantine for 14 days. It turned out okay. We got on a bus, we came to the, where are we?
Parap.
The Quest. We're in the Quest apartments in Parap, and they gave us a 2-bedroom apartment with a massive living area, huge kitchen back there, and a great bathroom with a bath and a balcony. Thank the Lord I have a balcony, so I've been sitting out there and soaking in the sun. So basically that's where we're up to. We're going to bring you guys a couple of episodes for the next 2 weeks while we're in isolation, just to like give a bit of a room tour of like how we're living, if you're interested in that. And in 2 weeks time we'll be heading back to Kierran, and then we can like resume normal life, which will be amazing. Anyway, I hope that brought you up to speed. We will be going back to our Japan series. I think we've got like 4 more episodes left. Kieran's working on those now. But that's after all this quarantine stuff. I've just had too many people saying, what's it like? What are you doing? Like, how do you do it? So hopefully this helps. And we'll see you in whatever video I make next. Who knows?
Yep, bring the cup out wider.
You can spill it on me.
Yeah, that's right, don't worry.
Ready?
Yep.
Was it everything you wanted it to be?
Yeah.